Crazy Crab in the house. And today I'm gonna talk about another one of my favorite franchises, the Chucky franchise. And this is for this year's Halloween special, the first annual Halloween special. And today I'm gonna talk about my favorite horror film franchise. Now we're talking about Child's Play, and let me give a little background. Big fan, like I said, been watching these movies for a long time, almost every Halloween. I go ahead and marathon watch the Chucky franchise. But there are, like most movie franchises, at some point it does go downhill. But this franchise does make a little recovery before returning back downhill again, and we'll go through the ups and downs. It's got ups and downs, it's got high points, it's got low points, it's got horrible points, there's points where it's just crap. It's just absolute garbage. And there's points that it's really cool horror stuff. I mean, I think the reason I like it more than, your Friday the 13th and Halloweens, which I watch those too. I've seen all the Friday the 13th, I've seen all the Halloweens, I've seen all the Freddy's, but this one has that comedic element to it.
Hi, it's me, Chucky. What do you think?
That was it was there in the first one, but it really started to shine in Child's Play 2, 3, and from there on out. Every Child's Play movie has moments that I laugh because Chucky's a funny guy. So
I don't have a problem with killing.
the most recent Child's Play film was a disappointment, and I'm actually planning on starting another YouTube channel where I'm going to do more in-depth reviews of each of the Child's Play movies, and also I'm going to start a project where I want to kind of do a re-edit of that newest movie called Cult of Chucky, which I'm going to get to that review here in this video. These will be fairly brief reviews. I'm going to try to keep this as short as I can. But that newest movie, I want to pull an Ivan and kind of work on that and see if I can fix it a little bit. Now, I don't have his talent, but we're not talking about a Star Wars movie or something like crazy epic where I'm going to have to do fights and reshoot a bunch of scenes and just go in there and, use some kind of insane talent that I don't have. Instead, it's going to be more of just kind of cutting scenes, moving some scenes around, and I may, add some voiceover. And I have it all worked out in my head. It's just a matter of can I actually pull it off. So I know that it's not going to be a big project with a bunch of people interested, because we're talking about that latest Cult of Chucky film was a straight to DVD release. So I'm doing more or less I'm doing this for myself because I really want to have this version. I think there'll be some hardcore fans that'll probably find that YouTube channel, which when I start I'll definitely have an announcement here. So let's just jump in here to the reviews, and we'll start with the original Child's Play. Now, before I get started, let me just quickly, there are going to be 7 movies: Child's Play, Child's Play 2, Child's Play 3, Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, Curse of Chucky, and then the 7th one is Cult of Chucky. So I'm going to do a quick, brief 7 movie mini reviews of each one, and later I'll do the full reviews. Probably will go on my other channel that's more focused on this franchise, because I don't want to bore Star Wars fans and stuff and science fiction fans with these reviews. So let's get started. Child's Play was directed by Tom Holland and written by the same guy who has written all of the Child's Play films so far, and that's Don Mancini. Don Mancini is kind of the creator of Child's Play. And not unlike George Lucas, when he directs his own movies, sometimes they suffer a little bit. He may be better off just writing the movies and being involved, but not so much as a director. But in this particular film, the first one, Tom Holland directed it. This is the film where we meet Charles Lee Ray. Charles Lee Ray is a crazy killer, and he ends up getting chased down by homicide detective Mike Norris, who is played by Chris Sarandon. Really good character. As it happens, if you haven't seen it, Charles Lee Ray, he gets in trouble in a toy store, he gets hit, he gets shot, he's dying, he transfers his soul because he knows how to do stuff like that. That's kind of part of the whole thing. It's a lot of voodoo. Anyway, he uses the voodoo to transfer his soul into the body of a doll, into a doll. And that's Chucky, the doll. It's a good guy doll. That's the company that makes them. And later on, this little kid, Andy, his mom, purchases this doll from some peddler out behind the store that she works at and gives it to him as a gift. And that's basically what's happening. The interesting thing is, They don't really say for sure what's going on. These murders start happening. People don't know what's happening, who's doing this. We don't even know. I mean, what we do now, but if you watch this movie in 1988 and you didn't know anything, you went to the movies to watch it, you may not realize, like, who's doing these killings? Is this little kid just psycho? He thinks the doll's alive. Is the doll doing it? Obviously, yes, the doll's doing it. But we get to see this from his point of view. The killings we see from Chucky's eyes, at least the first half of this movie. We don't see it like the rest of the movies where you're watching from a third person's point of view. You see Chucky killing people and acting crazy and acting like Chucky, hilarious and doing his thing. In this movie, it's more of a scary movie type. It's not so much of a comedy at all, which I said earlier. I like the comedic aspect of the film, but this first one is the scariest Chucky movie. And as you watch it, it's very creepy. It's very creepy and very, very, very good. The actors do a great job. I love the little kid in his role as Andy. He's a great little actor. His mom is great. The cop is great. This whole film is just, the key thing here is it's very suspenseful. And that's what it's all about. The music is there, and the music that's playing right now, that's the theme of the original Child's Play. I actually like the theme to the newer movies better, which is what I had here to start this video. But anyway, just a great, great horror film. And of course, when the reveal finally happens, we get to see Chucky full force when Andy's mom threatens to throw him in the fire.
I said talk to me, damn it, or else I'm gonna throw you in the fire!
You stupid bitch, you filthy slut! Did you fuck with me?
And from there on, we get to see Chucky full force. Unfortunately, it's not throughout the whole movie like most of the films are going to be, because this was the first film. And so maybe that's kind of sucks. You want to say more. I do. I want to see more Chucky. I love Chucky. I love Chucky on screen. I love his humor. I love the guy who voices him, Brad Dourif. He's just awesome. I just love Chucky. And the second half of the film, and then as it gets on to the end of the climax, I don't want to spoil anything, but I mean, it's not too much to spoil, but really it's a really, really awesome film. And at the end of this video, I'm going to do a quick ranking, so we'll see where this one falls. But obviously, the originals are always pretty much the best, right? And the originals are always going to be what makes the films what they are. And I loved this original film. Animatronics of the doll is unbelievable. Looks real, moves real. There's been a few scenes that look kind of like kind of rough, I guess. Not just with the doll, but just some of the editing a little shaky at times. You know, I'm not saying it's aged perfectly, but really, really impressive movie. Really fun film. Great story, great everything, great directing, just a great, great film overall. Awesome horror film. Maybe not as fun, you know, more scary. I mean, if you have fun being scared, which kind of is fun to be scared sometimes, that's why you watch scary movies, then it's pretty awesome. But this is definitely the scariest of the films, other than possibly one of the newer ones I'll get to that rivals this one as far as how scary it is. But I think this one, it would be the scariest one as far as that goes. So a great start to the franchise. Child's Play 2 came out in 1990, and this was directed by John LaFia, also written by Don Mancini. A lot of people put this one above the original, and the main reason is because you get full Chucky, full force from the beginning, from early in the movie.
What's your name, buddy? Chucky. That's incredible.
We already know who Chucky is. There's no need to prolong the reveal. So he comes back, and he is better than ever. This movie is funny, scary. It's got everything you want in a Chucky movie, and it feels like a Chucky movie because you still got your little kid coming back in the role of Andy Barclay is Alex Vincent. He's the one who plays the little boy, and he's even better in this film. His acting is improved. Chucky's funnier. It's probably got more kills, more crazy kills, and it's a pretty solid plot. I mean, everything really works really well in this movie. And just to do a very, very quick review, because I want to go quicker than I did in that first one. Basically, what we have is the original Chucky doll that got messed up in the first one is rebuilt by the company to prove that there's nothing wrong with the doll. It was this little boy who was the crazy killer. And what happens is the doll, once it's put back together, something happens and his soul is revitalized. So Charles Lee Ray back alive in the Chucky doll, and he knows, okay, I gotta find I gotta find Andy because that's the little kid, the first guy I revealed myself to. That's the only way I can get out of this freaking body. So he finds Andy, who is now in foster care because his mom is considered wacko for believing that a doll was responsible for all the murders in the first movie. So everything is pretty much making sense. He gets adopted and it goes from there. He has a new adoptive parents, and he has a new foster sister, and she's a big part of the movie, and her name is Kyle, played by Christine Elise, and she is fabulous in this film, and a really awesome one. A lot of great kills. Again, Chucky hunts him down.
Surprise! Did you miss me, Andy? I sure missed you.
And it's a great adventure. The final scenes end up in a good guy's warehouse. Coincidentally, I guess they were right nearby a good guy's warehouse. I mean, you could say that's a little weird, but it is a really cool scene at the end. Just an amazing sequence here. The last half of this movie really jams. It's a fun ride. This is definitely one of the top sequels ever made, in my opinion, because I mean, obviously Empire Strikes Back is probably the best, but as far as horror films, you typically think you're going to start going downhill, and they certainly did not do that with this film. An awesome continuation. Again, nobody believes Andy, just like in the first one. It's really crazy. Who would believe him? It's like, Chucky did it. Chucky did it. Whatever, dude. Yeah, your doll did it. Okay. There's also a second good guy's doll in this one, Tommy, who's not alive or anything. It's just a regular old doll. So it's funny because Chucky kind of takes over as Tommy.
Hi, I'm Tommy, and I'm your friend to the end. Heidi-ho!
In order to get in the house, and so makes for some good humor. It's a funny one, and it's got everything you want in a Chucky movie. So Child's Play 2, definitely awesome, and definitely a thumbs up. Next up is Child's Play 3. It comes out in 1991, but it takes place 8 years after Child's Play 2. This is a film that did not garner good reviews. People don't really like it, honestly. It doesn't do very well on Rotten Tomatoes. If we take a look at Rotten Tomatoes here, a 23% tomato meter and a 33% audience score. Honestly, I don't really understand this. I know that they go in a different direction in this film. It goes into a military academy, and that's where Andy, the now grown up or almost grown up Andy, he's a young man, and he's in a military academy. And that's where Chucky has to hunt him down this time. But Chucky has a new body, keep in mind, because his previous body has just been through too much. It couldn't come back. But what did happen is that some of the remains of his previous body, they were still in that warehouse, and when the company decided to make more good guy dolls, well, his soul was still up in that material, and when a new doll was produced, well, again, Chucky was revitalized. So he has a new body. He goes to this military academy. It's called Kent Military Academy. That's where Andy is now, and he's encouraged, obviously, to forget about his crazy fantasies with a doll killer and to get his life together and get it together here. And there he meets a couple friends, and everything seems to be going pretty well for Andy until a package arrives. And actually, the package didn't get to Andy like it was supposed to. It was delivered to Andy. It ends up getting to a little kid called Tyler. The little kid who was going to give the package to Andy sees kind of the corner is torn, and he sees it's a good guy doll, and he is fascinated by the good guy dolls because Tyler's a little kid. So he obviously wants to keep it for himself, which he does.
Who the fuck are you?
I thought you guys only said 3 sentences.
I'm new and improved.
And this is when Chucky meets Tyler and finally kind of has a realization that, wait a second, he has a new body. Maybe it doesn't have to be Andy this time. Maybe he can just enter whoever. So he decides to go with Tyler and to try to enter into Tyler's body. So I don't have a problem with the setting. I don't have a problem with the plot. Everything seems to be smooth, makes sense, and it's a funny movie as always. Chucky telling his jokes, being funny from the beginning. The kills are top quality, top notch. It's gory, it's crazy, it's interesting, and it is a little bit of a change. And I think that's what maybe people don't like, because now you're at a military academy. It's definitely a different feel than the original 2 movies with the little boy Andy, and a little more of a home and a regular society. Here we're in a completely different setting, but I thought it made for a really interesting movie, and I enjoyed it. I really like this movie. Every time I see this movie, I think, wow, I mean, I may like this one. It definitely rivals part two. They're very close. Sometimes I enjoy this one more. They come up with a whole lot of interesting ways for Chucky to get his kills in, and that's one of the main prizes of the Chucky franchise is the way that he kills. He doesn't just kill people. You find there's always interesting ways, interesting ideas that they come up with in each movie for how is he going to get this done, and this one has some of the best. Andy has his own little arc, if you will. He learns, and he has his friends, and his friends are good characters. He's got a guy here that he meets, is his roommate. There's this girl who's in the academy as well. She's really cool. This is actually, she's kind of how you're supposed to make a strong female character. Watch this movie, you want to see a strong female character, and it would be Kristen De Silva. That's the name of the character, and she is really, really awesome. And this is just a fun movie. It's scary, and the final scenes in this one, like I said, the Child's Play 2, the final scenes are awesome. This one is even better, and the final kills in this film, unbelievable. The way Chucky meets his demise, I mean, Chucky's going to meet his demise in every movie, and it's not a spoiler. Chucky obviously comes back. Chucky's going to get killed at the end, or he's going to somehow get taken care of at the end, at least most of the film. So in this particular one, though, the way that Chucky meets his demise is freaking insane. Absolute best of any Child's Play film. Really awesome. I just enjoy this film a lot. I don't know what the problem is. I read the criticisms. I just don't really agree with a lot of them. At least from my point of view, it seems like a really cool film. I wish I could just go through all the kills in this one. Some of the most creative kills in the franchise. I wish I could say them. I wish I could tell you each of the kills, at least a couple of them, but you may want to watch. I don't want to give too many spoilers. The way he kills people are kind of what would be a spoiler. I mean, the fact that Chucky comes back, we know that Chucky's going to get killed. We know he's going to kill a bunch of people. It's a horror film, but the way that he kills people in this film is extremely, extremely creative and really cool. It's just a fun one. It gets such bad reviews, but whatever. I mean, it's definitely one of the top movies in the franchise as far as I'm concerned. So Child's Play 3, I felt like, bam, it hit another one out the park. 3 straight great films. That's why I love the Child's Play franchise. It's so easy to watch. You can go from one to the other, and it takes a long time to get to crap, but we eventually will.
Well, hello, Dolly.
Bride of Chucky came out in 1998. I was 18. This was a really big moment because this movie looked like, okay, we're finally going downhill. Now he's got a bride. He's got a girlfriend. I mean, what are we doing here? We got a girl doll. It is not looking really good. But at the time, it was really exciting to at least go see a new Chucky movie. I said, if nothing else, it'll be funny. And it was funny, and it was actually not bad at all. In fact, it had a really good plot. In fact, it made sense why Chucky was back alive again, because he had a girlfriend when he was Charles Lee Ray. She went and got the remains of that doll and stitched him back together. That's why his face looks all stitched. It's a great new look for Chucky.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
It's the same body from the previous movie, but he is now repaired. And then she did some voodoo and she succeeded. Some things happened, a few arguments, a few hilarious arguments, and eventually she's also in a doll's body. And we got 2 boyfriend and girlfriend, at least they used to be boyfriend and girlfriend. They're going to have some good times and bad times, but it is a great dynamic. We have Chucky, we have Tiffany. She is played by Jennifer Tilly, who is the perfect voice for this doll, but she's also plays Tiffany in the beginning of the film before Tiffany gets converted into the doll. And anyway, this is a really funny movie, and it is actually pretty good with kills. It is a horror film. It's got everything, got great music, a surprising continuation.
Yeah, life sure is full of surprises.
4 straight really good films in the Child's Play franchise. So in this one, just a really brief review. once they get into the doll bodies, once they're both in doll bodies, they got to figure out a way. Okay, what are we going to do now? Now they decided to go in a little different direction and figure out a way to move away from the old, Andy story and all that, and him trying to get into the body of the first guy he meets or the first person that he meets. Now it's going into a direction where he has another way. He says, well, there is another thing we can do, and that is that they have to go get this amulet that was buried on Charles Lee Ray's original body, and that will allow them to transfer their souls into somebody else. And in this case, they want to transfer the souls into the bodies of Tiffany's neighbor. His name is Jesse, and he has a girlfriend named Jade. They're there driving on a little road trip. Basically, they need to deliver the dolls somewhere because the dolls left a fake message saying, hey, deliver these dolls. You're going to get paid a bunch of money for it. So they're delivering the dolls. But the dolls, of course, have their own ulterior motive, which is to get to that amulet, and then, which is where they're taking them. Actually, they're taking them to a graveyard, to a cemetery, so they can get the amulet and then hopefully get into those bodies. That's the entire plot. That's the entire goal. There are some twists here with a police chief played by John Ritter, and he is like the stepdad, I believe, of the girlfriend Jade, and he's involved, and he doesn't really like her and he doesn't like them, but he's involved there, and it's hilarious stuff. This movie is freaking hilarious, really good, really solid plot, and scary too. I mean, it's not, obviously they go in a new direction here. It doesn't have the same type of horror feel and suspensefulness that the original movie had and the second one had, but nevertheless, it is a great way to continue the film into the, in the late 90s here. It's an old film from the 80s, old franchise from the 80s, early 90s. They need to try to get this into the new generation, and they really did a great job with this film. This is one that a lot of people love. It's a lot of people's number one. I don't know if it's my number one. I feel like this was kind of the start of going into that crazy comedies, kind of stupid direction. Now he's having sex with the girl. The dolls are doing it.
Wait, what?
Have you got a rubber?
Have I got a rubber?
Yeah.
Tiff,
What?
look at me. I'm all rubber.
And at the end, the most crazy ending ever. So it did set up, an opportunity where Don Mancini is going in this new direction that eventually I hate. But this is just the start of it, and it doesn't go too far in this film. It still stays kind of grounded enough that I really like the film, and it's not completely just wacko out there stupid like garbage. It is not that. It is actually really good and solid, but it definitely starts in that direction. This is where I guess you could say, maybe because of the success of this, Don Mancini is thinking, oh wow, I can pretty much do whatever I want, and that really isn't true, because the next movie we're going to get to right now. So this one, though, I really like a lot. I don't know if I like it as much as the original three, but this is really, really good, solid movie. I can watch it as part of the franchise. Love Bride of Chucky. Highly recommended.
I'm not ashamed to be a killer. I'm proud of it. It's not an addiction. It is a choice. And it is not something that you should have to hide in the closet.
The next film is Seed of Chucky. It doesn't deserve a cool intro or cool background music. This is the first one, directed by Don Mancini, and this is where the franchise hit its first downhill slope, and it went down hard. This is definitely into the absolute wacko weirdness. The film is about the child of Chucky and Tiffany. Spoiler alert, the child that was born in the previous film. So this is the last Child's Play that actually came out in theaters. Everything after this went direct to DVD, and it's not a surprise. It's because this film sucked. A lot of people liked it because of its weirdness, but it went so far weird, bizarre, nasty. There are scenes that are like, oh, what is happening here? Are you kidding me? I don't even want to tell you. It is really, really bad. But anyway, the son, well, we don't know if he's a son or a daughter. That's the first thing, but we have a child, and his or her name is Glenn or Glenda. This is a child who is not actually a killer. He doesn't want to kill people. He's actually a nice little doll, which is, as some people say, stupid. Like, you have a child of Chucky. This thing could be just craziest killer ever. You have so much you can do with it. They decide to make him not a killer. Well, on the one hand, maybe that is an interesting way to go about it. You could make an interesting story with that, having him not be a killer. He is not instinctually a killer. So, I mean, it has its funny moments, but really it's just so bizarre. And the story with the kid doesn't, it goes even crazier. We got Britney Spears in this movie.
Oops, I did it again.
You know, I don't feel like I need to get into detail. This video is already going a little longer than I wanted, so this is just a dumb one. It ends stupid. It starts stupid. It's in between stupid. It has Redman in it. Anytime you have a rapper in your film and they're going to acting, a lot of times it doesn't work out in horror films. I've noticed if you look at the Halloween franchise. I don't know. I'm not saying that it's Redman's fault that this movie's not any good. Actually, he probably did a pretty good job in his role. But yeah, Don Mancini, I don't know. You know, you go in this direction. Oh, and how could I forget the stupidest thing of all in this movie is that, well, they decided to bring Jennifer Tilly back, not just to do the voice of Tiffany, which is what I would think they would have done because the body of Tiffany is dead. She died. She died in the previous movie, so she can't come back. She's dead. She's been dead for a while. So instead, they want Jennifer Tilly there in person. So what do? They bring Jennifer Tilly back to play Jennifer Tilly. Jennifer Tilly exists now in the Chucky franchise. Jennifer Tilly plays Jennifer Tilly, and the little doll, Tiffany, is trying to get into the body of Jennifer Tilly because she's a huge fan of Jennifer Tilly's, which, well, she looks exactly like her and sounds exactly like her because it is her. And I've seen this done before. This was done in Ocean's 12, which really pissed me off when Julia Roberts played Julia Roberts. That was even worse because that was supposed to be a really cool film. Yeah, it's a little bit of a comedy, but it's not, you know, a horror film or something stupid like this. That's supposed to be a pretty serious film, a heist film, and you're going to bring in Julia Roberts to play Julia Roberts. Now, Julia Roberts exists in the Ocean's universe. Basically, very similar thing here, except Jennifer Tilly is Jennifer Tilly. Jennifer Tilly exists in this film as Jennifer Tilly trying to get her movie roles, and she's struggling with her career, and it's just the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Oh my gosh, I really hate it. I really hate when films do that. I think there's been a couple others that do this, and I really hate it. It's just one of my pet peeves. I hate it. It takes me out of the movie. Jennifer Tilly's not supposed to exist. Julia Roberts is not supposed to exist in her movies. It's always in a sequel too. Like, you're running out of ideas. This is what you come up with. It is so dumb. If it was me, I'd say Jennifer, you know, if she really wanted to be in the movie, I'd say, well, you have to do the voice. You can't be in the movie physically unless we do unless you want to do like a flashback scene or something to when you and Ray were alive and were both boyfriend and girlfriend. I mean, if they could figure a way to do that. But bottom line is this movie sucks. It's too weird. It is too stupid. It's too sick. It's too nasty. It's too out there. And I can go on and on and on and on and on. I did not like this one. I still watch it when I marathon it, but it's not that easy to get through. It does have some funny moments. It does have some laugh out loud moments, but not that many. A lot of the jokes fall flat. But give this one a thumbs down. I would say skip this one, honestly. Just skip it. Now it's time for Curse of Chucky, 2013. This film came out direct to DVD. It seemed like the franchise was basically over after Seed of Chucky. This one was also directed by Don Mancini. We're going direct to DVD. It's crap, right? I didn't even watch it when it first came out, when it first got released. When I finally got to it, though, I was actually surprised. It's not bad at all. It is actually a return to the old horror elements with the suspenseful type build up, and you don't know necessarily what's going on. And they bring back a child who owns Chucky. This time it's this little girl. She is not as good an actor as Alex Vincent was, but she's okay. It's pretty good. I'll say this, it's scary. Now we're back to a scary freaking movie. This is a scary movie. This movie is, even though I know what's going on, Chucky and all that, but it was really, really good. So this is like kind of a perfect movie that's kind of both a reboot and a sequel in one. Kind of like what Star Wars tried to do with The Force Awakens, that's what this movie tried to do. And I think this one was more successful as far as a movie, not financially or anything like that, but as far as just the film, I felt like this was really a pretty good movie, and they tell more of the story of Charles Lee Ray. We really go back to that. Even some scenes that we see Charles Lee Ray in the flesh played by Brad Dourif. Yes, he looks older, so it's a little bit of an inconsistency, but he doesn't look like he's like an old man or anything, so it's actually not that bad. It really is nice. It's a really cool movie. A couple of the criticisms would be that Chucky looks really freaking weird. He doesn't look right. Eventually that is explained, so there is a reason for that. It's an acceptable explanation, and later on he looks a little more like the Chucky that we're used to. So it's okay, but it is kind of jarring, like to look at him. It's like, ooh, that looks really weird. Also his movements, and some of it's just like awkward. It's just like, it's not quite right. And when he talks sometimes, it just, it didn't feel right. A lot of it just didn't click like the old original Chucky movies did, but they tried. It's pretty good. I think a lot of it is the low budget. They didn't have the animatronics even as well as they did back in the 80s. Even though it's 2013, you'd think they should be able to do something, but they couldn't really do it. I mean, unless they were really going to go full out CGI, which I think they did do some CGI, but again, the budget's not very high. They can't just do whatever they want. So the kills are crazy, awesome. It's not as funny. I didn't feel like it is as funny. I wish it was a little more funny. At least we got a little more Chucky screen time. Like I said, he didn't show up till later in the film because they tried to go back to that original. There's a trade-off there. You lose a little Chucky, but you gain some of that edge, some of that horror, some of that scariness. And I think it was a good trade-off because I hated Seed of Chucky, and this was a really awesome follow-up to that. The only big problem is, of course, there's no explanation to why Chucky comes back. He's just back. I don't really know the explanation for why he's back. Every other film, they have a reason. This one didn't really show the reason. He's just there. He gets delivered to this house. Apparently, he delivered himself in a box like he's done before. But this time, I don't really know how he got his body back, how he got back into the doll. It's not really explained. I do like there to be some consistency and some explanations. And some of the rules get broken. Don Mancini loves to break his own rules as far as how Chucky works and things like that. But you know what? I'll take it because overall, this was a really good movie, a really scary movie, freaking scary movie. This is definitely the scariest since the original.
Chucky, I'm scared.
He was able to get back into the doll somehow, delivered to the home of a girl named Nika. She is paraplegic. She cannot walk. There are some connections. Let's just say that. I don't want to spoil. There's a little more. If I talk too much, I think I'll spoil some things. There's a little more connection between Nika and Chucky and the old Charles Lee Ray. There is a connection there, and that is all revealed through flashbacks. That's when we get to see Charles Lee Ray. At the end of this movie, we see some old faces that are familiar. Tiffany's gonna come back. She is now in Jennifer Tilly's body. So Tiffany is now back in her old body. Let's just be honest. She's back in her old body because her old body was Jennifer Tilly. It's stupid, but they're not gonna break continuity. So Seed of Chucky is canon. This whole thing is canon, so they have to work with it. So they're doing that. So I guess it's fine. You can't change the past. That movie's in there, so it is in there. So Tiffany's back, and then there is a even crazier scene at the very end in a post-credit scene where we're going to see good old Andy, and it's Alex Vincent. He is back in the most awesome post-credit scene. I don't want to give it away. Don't forget, if you watch this movie, let the credits roll and then don't turn it off yet because there's something else, and it's really awesome and a really awesome setup for the next movie, which I'm freaking thrilled for after watching this. I cannot wait for freaking Cult of Chucky, which is the next freaking movie. But this one right here, Curse of Chucky, is really good. I give it a thumbs up. Watch it. If you made it this far, let me know in the comments and I will send you a taco. So, Cult of Chucky. We're talking about a 2017 film by Don Mancini again. He directed it, he wrote it, and a follow-up to Curse of Chucky. And we're thinking, oh man, Curse of Chucky was great. We're back on track. Seed of Chucky was just that one crap film. This is such an amazing franchise. You're always allowed one crap film, right? They can't possibly make another one. And that's what they did. Cult of Chucky sucked. And in this one, Andy's back. Andy's back. And the original actor is back to play him. Alex Vincent is back. But unfortunately, they made him a total moron in this movie. He has his plans that are going to help. He's going to go get Chucky, and they all are stupid plans that could never work, and sure enough, they don't work. But I'm jumping ahead. If we just kind of back up, what's going on in this movie? Well, in this movie, Nika from the previous movie, the paraplegic that we talked about, she is in a mental institution. And that's where this film is mainly taking place, which is not a bad idea. I like it. Freaking mental institution, man. A bunch of crazy people in there. Chucky's going to get over there. He's going to wreak havoc. Oh my gosh, this is going to be wild, right? So everything is sounding pretty cool. She's even thinking that she was responsible for the murders in the previous movie. She's kind of, it was her, she did it. Maybe she's just saying this just to go along, to go with the flow, but she really knows it was Chucky. Not really sure, but it seems like she's convinced herself that, yeah, she has multiple identity disorder and she was the one who was killing everyone. Well, obviously we know that's not true. Here in this film, Tiffany also comes back. She visits Nika, and apparently she's now the legal guardian of the little girl from the previous movie, which doesn't really make sense. That's weird. And then she just kind of nonchalantly tells her, oh yeah, the little girl, she's dead. Apparently from a broken heart. Like, this is really stupid. I hate this whole scene. Tiffany's back. She completely comes with this news. She visits Nika and tells her that the little girl died. Nika, of course, is just completely broken up by this because that was her niece. So anyway, some way, somehow, we don't really know, Chucky is at that mental institution. But it's weird because Chucky is also with Andy, because Andy's holding him prisoner, shall we say. I don't want to spoil it, but Chucky is with Andy, but Chucky's also here at the hospital. Whoa, that's really weird. That doesn't make sense, but maybe there's two different timelines here we're working with, not really sure. Well, without getting into too much of the details, it turns out that there's actually multiple Chuckies now, and there ends up being 3 Chuckies running around. So now Chucky has managed to figure out how to transfer his soul into multiple bodies at the same time. That's right. It's not one soul anymore. His soul can go into multiple bodies, and now there's multiple Chuckies, and it is stupid. Stupid. There's supposed to be one soul. Charles Lee Ray, what are we doing here? This is really bad. Yes, there's a couple, 2 or 3 funny lines from Chucky, which I appreciate.
Don't be afraid.
What?
I'm not going to hurt you.
You fucking with me?
There's actually some cool scenes here. There are some cool murders, although some of them are reused from the previous movies. So they couldn't even come up with some original killings. Some of them were borrowed. They were cool, but they were borrowed from like Bride of Chucky. So overall, this was a really big disappointment, and it was really weird and really stupid. It did have some potential, and there's really a lot of good scenes and a lot of cool moments, and overall the feel of it's okay. There's too much going on, though. They're trying to bring back the Tiffany story from Bride of Chucky. They're trying to bring back the old Andy stories from the original movies, and they're trying to keep alive the Nika story from Curse of Chucky, and it's too much. And they made Andy an idiot. I don't know if they did it intentionally, but I just don't get it. Really bad. And as I said, if you've actually made it this far and you were here earlier in the video, first of all, congratulations. Second of all, as I mentioned, I'm trying to do a re-edit of this movie, and I think I can pull it off. And I have a lot of ideas I'm going to cover on a new YouTube channel that's going to start, and we're going to try to fix this movie because I think it really can be an okay movie. It also has a post-credit scene where an old face comes back. It's not as good as the post-credit scene from the other movie from Curse. This is just a big disappointment, but would really love to get in here, move some scenes around, have some things in mind, do some voiceover, shoot a couple of extra scenes that I think, or borrow them from another movie that I think can be slipped in there, and make this one move seamlessly to the end, because the last scene is pretty cool, but at the same time, because of what happened to build up to it, it really wasn't that cool. But I think I can make it cool. So this is a movie I want to fix, and I give it a thumbs down. Though I wouldn't say skip it. You can watch it, but it's not nearly as good as the other movies. Other than it is better than Seed of Chucky, because it's not like disgusting and nasty like Seed of Chucky is. It is watchable. It's just kind of stupid. I don't like the multiple Chucky idea. I want there to be one freaking Chucky. So this one, big disappointment. This is the end here right now. They're talking about they're going to make a reboot. They're actually going to reboot it and make a whole new movie, a whole new franchise, but it's actually going to be separate. It's not going to have Brad Dourif. It's not going to have Don Mancini. Don Mancini is apparently working on the continuation of this. Is going to be a TV series that I'm not fired up about. I love Brad Dourif as the voice, but I'm not fired up about the TV series. I mean, you got the multiple Chuckies now. What are you going to do about that? Now Chucky can enter anybody he wants. Can't he just take over the whole world? It doesn't even make sense anymore. This new canon here from this film doesn't make sense. I don't like it. I'm more excited for the new spin-off, or not the new spin-off, but the new remake, the new reboot. It's going to be a remake of the original. I don't like some of their ideas, and I'm going to make videos covering all this on the new YouTube channel. But anyway, this movie here, I give it a thumbs down. Not good. And to close the video, I'd like to just put my rankings. Here they are. As you can see, if we just go down the list, my least favorite, Seed of Chucky. My second least favorite, Cult of Chucky, because it is just stupid, but I want to fix this one. Next in order, number 5 is going to be Curse of Chucky. Pretty close. I really like Curse of Chucky. I wish I could rank it higher. I really do. But unfortunately, it's just the Chucky. It's just not enough Chucky, not enough funny Chucky, and he's just too awkward in it, and it's kind of just at times hard to watch. It is really good though. It really is. Number 4 is going to be Bride of Chucky. It's a really awesome movie. A lot of people rank it higher. I can understand why. But just can't quite put it above the 3 originals, unfortunately. I know that's kind of cliche, stupid, like, oh, the originals are the best. I don't mean to do that, but I really feel that 3 originals are the best. And next, ranked number 3, Child's Play 2. I know for a lot of people this is their favorite. I just got part 3, just edges it out. I really enjoy part 3. I really enjoy that in the military academy. I know it's dumb. I know part 2 is supposed to be like the best one. They're all the top 3. Let me say, they're all just right there. They're all right there. But I'm going to put Child's Play 2 at number 3, Child's Play 3 at number 2, and my favorite is the original Child's Play movie. That is going to be my favorite movie of all. So that is my ranking. It's tough because, like I said, Curse of Chucky is really good. At times I think it deserves to be higher than number 5, but that's my ranking, and that's my reviews of all the Child's Play movies. If you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments. Tell me if you made it through, if you made it this far. I want to mention that you can also jump forward to each review because I'll put a little time slots there, a little timer in the description. So thank you all for joining me for this Halloween special of this year, 2018 Child's Play franchise. I'm a big fan, as you can see. Hope you all enjoyed this. Hope you're able to make it through. Y'all have a great, wonderful day. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you at next year's Halloween special. I don't know what we'll do. Maybe it'll be Halloween. It'll be a different movie that I'll do the whole franchise on. Thank you guys. Good night. Goodbye. See you later. Adios.
Well, John, it's been fun, but I gotta go.